Karabo is a TB activist who advocates for the health standards and human rights of inmates in all correctional centres. He himself is an ex-inmate.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege and honor for me to share my story this afternoon in Johannesburg, where I was born. I was born in Soweto, the biggest township in South Africa. It means Southern Township, Western Township. Yeah. I want to thank Annabelle for the opportunity to come and share my story. And I call my story, my setback was a setup for my great comeback. That is the title of my story. I'm going to divide my story in 3 parts. Life before prison, life in prison, life after prison. And I see James is checking whether his wallet is still in his pocket when I talk about prison. I'm kidding. Life before prison. I was born and bred in Soweto. And life was not easy because my mother dumped me when I was only 3 months old. Because my father was running away from his responsibilities. And I thank my mom, wherever she is. I've never seen her not to abort me or to put me in a rubbish bin. My mother was just a transportation to give birth to this handsome man. Because I can't change my past, I can only change my future. I come from a dysfunctional family whereby we were 14 people in 4-room house. I was sleeping in the kitchen. Extremely poor background. Educationally, I was a laughing stock, primary level, because I was thinking, I was ostracized, I was rejected. I still remember vividly, I was rejected in a point that even a person who shows some love, I would think they reject me, because rejection was part of me. I was always in the corner when other kids were playing. I had so much low self-esteem. I thought I'm nobody, but today I know I am somebody. I was doing bad educationally, not because I was an idiot, but because an empty stomach cannot concentrate. Then, in a process of time, just to cut the long story short, because I want to be invited again soon, I used to play soccer. I was a very good soccer player. I think I was playing a better soccer than Messi. I think so. So here is this woman. She was a businessman. She was married by a well-respected man in Soweto by the name of Godfrey Moloi. He was tycoon. He was famous. He was an actor. But after he passed on because of cancer, his wife adopted me. How she adopted me, she always saw me passing by her business to play soccer, because soccer ground were not far from her shop. And one day she was interested in knowing who I am, where I come from. And I sat down with her, I told her about my life. And then she decided to adopt me. We went to social workers, and just to cut the long story short, I had to choose between her and my family. By then, my father passed on. I was left with my half-sisters, my half-brothers, and my stepmom. As a little boy, I saw a country flowing with honey and milk. I didn't hesitate to choose Mrs. Musamloi. I went to stay with her in Protea Glen, north of Soweto, in a big mansion. My life started to change amazingly, and I was called Cheese Boy, but don't call me Cheese Boy. I'm telling you, even how I used to walk, you could see that Cheese Boy is passing. Because before I was like, Africans, they call it skepsel, you know. But since I was a Cheese Boy wearing Adidas from head to toe, expensive labels, I was walking like... I remember those days, it was after Sony Ericsson introduced 1018S with an aerial, and we used to put it at the back of my pocket, Levi's jeans, and I will act as if I'm talking to the phone next to my friend, but I was talking to myself until I got a real call, and I go, oh, okay, hello. That's how I was a Cheese Boy. And life started to be like a walk in a park. Everything was just easy. And then at school, I was started to be respected. And you know, when days are brighter, friends are many. I had so many friends because I used to buy lunch for them. But when days are dark, friends are few. Then just to cut the long story short, she adopted me, then I stayed with her. I had my own room. For the first time in my life, I owned my own bed. I was sleeping in the floor with so many dishes. I remember when after school, I had to go back home and wash dishes like it was a funeral. Bread, there was no bread. The only thing I will do is I don't know what you call it with English, but the last part of pap, porridge, to make a plan and put some salt and eat it so that I can have strength. But since I stayed with her, everything was just flowing. And the bad part of the story, because where I come from, they say nothing for mahala. It means nothing for free. She wanted me to compensate her, to pay her sexually. I remember every weekend, after the shops were shut and coming back home about 11:30 to 12, she used to knock at my door and asking me to sleep with her. And I told her that I can't do that because I take you as my mom. And I was about 16, if my memory serves me well, and she was about 35, 36. And she will come with night dresses. And she said, I remember one night she said, I give you 10 minutes and I want you upstairs in my room. And I was crying bitterly. I was crying, not knowing what to do. As I refused, things started to be hard. She started to cut privileges. I had to work hard. I'm no longer a son, I'm a servant. Whatever that I must have, I must work for it. Then our relationship started to be sour. And then in a process of time, there are two guys who went to her house. They broke in, they stole some important things, jewelries, cutleries, and laptops, etc. They were arrested the same day because Mr. Muloi's jewelry was engraved his name. So the police could, obviously they knew where they took those things from. Then they took them from the house to the shops. When they reached at the shop, my mom knew them because I think they sold something for her. And then she couldn't pay them cash, not because she had no money, but it was guys who were smoking dacha. So she just said, go, I will give you money. Then they decided to pay themselves by breaking in. When I came back from Pretoria, it's about 200, I think 30 minutes to 45 minutes from here, if I'm not wrong. We were playing with Mamelodi Sundowns because I was playing for Pirates, juveniles. When I came back, boo, I'm arrested. You have a right to remain silent. Whatever you say will be used against you at the court of law. Then that was 2001, 13 July. Then I went to police station. In police station, on Monday we went to court, and then they transferred me to Sun City, not the Sun City where the Guptas landed, but Johannesburg prison. And it was difficult. That's when I started to feel like I'm in prison. Because when you go to Sun City or Johannesburg prison, you don't need to be spirit-filled. You can just feel that there are hohos here. You can feel that this is not your mother's place. And then at the reception, there was no screening. It was overcrowding, like you heard the gentleman on the video. In a small cell, we were about 130 prisoners. And with one shower, with one toilet. Then I contracted TB. It was the worst nightmare. I couldn't get help from anyone. I was losing weight. I had no visit. Like I said, I was rejected. I had sores all over my body. And those sores were painful. When you scratch yourself, it appears on the other side. I couldn't do anything for myself. I went to the hospital several times, but the nurse who was in charge sent me back to my cell. And I went again, she sent me back to my cell. I don't know it's lucky or what, but she was pregnant. I think it was a blessing in disguise. She had to go for maternity leave. So the new one was more like a Samaritan woman, and she helped me with all her heart, and that's when I received my remedy. I tested TB, I tested HIV because they said the symptoms are similar. Then they found out that I have TB. Then I had to go through treatment for 6 months. It was not an easy journey because the guys who were with me in the same treatment were selling their medication to other prisoners. They used to crush it and smoke it and be high and forget about everything. But I thought, this woman, she's so committed to me. I'm not going to disappoint her. I'm left with 2 minutes. I said I want to be invited again, so I'm going to rush. And I started to gain weight from eating special diet, from getting vitamins with the TB medication. And remember, one shower, you're about 14, 15 prisoners trying to get that head of the shower. When you're busy going to the water, you feel something behind you, like touching you. You know, you turn and you wonder what's going on, only to find out a gangster want to rape you. And I must say, I don't take prison to me as a prison. It was more like a university for me, because that's where I had to learn stuff. I had to learn to be responsible. And ladies and gentlemen, I was transferred in Pretoria. And then in Pretoria, that's when I got empowerment. That's when I went through courses about HIV. That's when I taught other prisoners. And in closure, that was life in prison. And I want to talk about life after prison, which is the Karabo you see. Karabo means answer. That's how my mom named me when she dumped me. She said to my father, because you don't want to answer me, here is your answer. And by talking about life after prison, I want to show you this. This is my beautiful family. It's Junior and Zoe. Junior is 5 years old, and Zoe, she's 1 year, 5 months. Life after prison, I'm a TB activist from prison to pulpit. advocating for health and standard and human rights of inmates in all correctional centers. I'm a fashion advisor, I'm a businessman, motivational speaker, husband of a beautiful wife. Even now I'm still wondering whether she's my wife, but she is. I'm blessed with 2 kids, as you see. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a living testimony, and my voice is my invoice. Thank you.